A spider. The spider sneakily landed on the man's hand. He bit hard, leaving a pig's nose on the man's hand. However, the man didn't realize that his body was mutating. After returning home, the man suddenly became aware of it. Feeling sad and dizzy will soon be gone. She fell to the ground consciously, and the wound on her hand became bigger and bigger. Then, the spider toxin in her body frantically recombined her genes. When she woke up, she unexpectedly found that myopia had healed. Through the mirror, saw that muscles were stronger, and even descending the stairs was very smooth. However, in the eyes of classmates, was a freak. Even the driver turned a blind eye and drove away. Just when he touched the seal, he was surprised to stick to his hand, and he could only pull it off completely with force. Peter looked at his hand and didn't pay much attention to it. When he watched his favorite goddess walk by during school dinner, he suddenly felt something was wrong. Jin quickly turned around to support the goddess who was about to fall, and even the food on the tray was caught intact. This also successfully matched the Dharma with the goddess and got her praise. When Big sat down, he found that the spoon was actually on his hand, which was strange. If you pull hard, you can pull out the spider silk. Attention, two beads shot out of the fire. When he touched the dish opposite him, Peter tried to break it quickly before anyone noticed, but to his surprise, he threw it onto the laughing stick's hole. Seeing the situation wasn't good, Peter quickly stood up and left, but the dish behind him overflowed, and his father laughed and quickly chased him. At this moment, Peter suddenly felt threatened, hurriedly twisting and dodging, laughing. However, Dad refused to accept the punch and then punched Big. Strangely, in Peter's eyes, everything seemed to change. It was slow. Not only did he dodge Dad's accomplishments, he also sent Bully flying with a light punch when he took over. Even he couldn't believe it. After realizing something was wrong, Peter panicked. After running out of school, he hid in an alley. When he looked at his gesture again, it was covered with rice, and he still looked at the new one. He put his hand on the wall, and Buzang wanted to climb directly up. Go gaze like this. Even jumping is 10 points of shock in the floor. Top crazy enjoyment. Then he came to a heavenly card. Looking at the hanging tower opposite, he seemed to have aroused his inner instinct and reached out to shoot Spider Silk.
Like to this?
But Mr. Shu didn't see the joke at him. When you feel like quitting, a unique gesture shot the spider silk out, so he aimed at the hanging tower and shot it hard. Then I grabbed fast and stood on the platform. An idea of jumping appeared in my mind, so get up your courage and jump down, but collided with the advertising stand simultaneously. In order to test the developed environment, my friend's father even used his own body to do experiments regardless of the danger of his life, and then drank the medicine and lay in the machine. Then green gas started to be released inside. As they walked further, many men's muscles began to grow rapidly. However, the good times didn't last forever, as men began to twitch uncontrollably. Seeing this, my colleague quickly turned off the device. Just as he ran forward to prepare for rescue, the man suddenly woke up, grabbed his neck and threw it out. When the big shot aimed at the green devil too, this was born. However, Bigger was quickly caught by the class during a fight at school. Uncle knows. He told Peter that the changes in these years will determine your future. No matter what kind of person you will become in the future, be careful not to go astray. And he also told Peter, the greater his ability, the greater his responsibility. Kobit didn't care what he said at all and got off the bus directly. Then he went to the fighting arena to make money and design a suit. Before going on the stage, the host asked Peter what was his name.
Word, human spider host never.
I had never heard such a bad name before, so I gave him a resounding nickname temporarily. When the audience see his thin frame, they didn't like him very much and threw popcorn at him. Then Peter walked into the fighting arena, but he didn't know that he was locked up by them. The Iron Gate, and also, she was chained by the security guard so that Peter could get her revenge inside, and she had to stay here for 3 minutes. The strong man quickly took advantage of Big's inattention. I rushed up, but I didn't expect Bigger to jump, to make the strong man throw himself in the air, and this move completely anchored him. The strong man took the stool outside the court and smashed it directly on his head. The unguarded Bigger was quickly killed, knocked down to the ground. He hit him with a steel bar again. When Peter saw it, he kicked his feet and finally kicked the strong man out and fainted to the ground. In an instant, the referee suddenly announced that Peter had won, but when he came to receive the prize, he was deducted $2,900 by the supervisor boss. The reason was that Peter didn't play for 3 minutes and ended the game in only 1 minute, so he only gave $100. He knew that he had been deliberately making things difficult, so he had to leave angrily. Then he quickly ran away, but after seeing it, he not only failed to stop the robber, but also gave way for him to escape. Run, as everyone knows this. A move will affect him. On the way home, Peter saw a large crowd watching in front of him. He wanted to join in the fun, but he went up to have a look. He never thought that it was his uncle lying on the ground. He learned that someone had shot him at work, and his uncle even robbed him. Without saying anything, Peter chased him all the way in the direction of the car, even chasing him for several streets, and finally caused his car to lose control and crash into the Iron Gate. Then Peter grabbed him and hit the glass to vent his anger. The fire kicked him into the corner again. Peter took off his hood and went forward to question him. When he was about to do it again, he saw the robber's face clearly. Peter couldn't believe it. Because of myself. A difference of thought, but indirectly. The ground killed Uncle Ben, causing the robber to panic, step on a pipe, and fall to his death. Peter saw the body but felt no joy. From then on, he took his uncle's death to heart. Death all comes down to himself. Thinking about what Uncle Ben told himself, Peter began to transform into Spider-Man, began to protect citizens, and contribute to the city. But soon, Spider-Man's century was also reported by many violent reports. It became the focus of public discussion. At this time, the owner of the newspaper seemed that the driver began to spend a lot of money to buy it. Picture of Spider-Man. The film was known to Big. Every time before the action, I will set up a camera and report the photos taken. Unexpectedly, the boss bought his photos at the lowest price. Unexpectedly, as soon as Peter left, the newspaper owner's office was blown up by the villain Green Devil, and then he pinched the man's neck and forced him to ask who provided the photo of Spider-Man. Although it usually likes to squeeze employees, it doesn't mention a word about Peter at the critical moment. Just when the Green Devil was ready to attack the man, Spider-Man's appearance saved the man, but at the same time he fell into his trap. After he sprayed insecticide, Spider-Man fell from a high altitude and was caught on a rooftop by the Green Devil, and told her that he hoped Spider-Man could join her, but Spider-Man refused directly without thinking, because one was a citizen. Superhero, but you are super invincible. The Devil clashed angrily with the Green. The Devil warned him to mind his own business or face family destruction. Unexpectedly, the newspaper owner saw Spider-Man with the Green Devil, so they hugged and colluded, leading citizens to question their intentions. Change thinking? Raw regarded him as the #1 pet, but Spider-Man didn't despair of their urgency and still went all out. When protecting the city and helping again, Spider-Man resolutely rushed into the fire, regardless of his life's danger, and successfully rescued the babe 1 second before the explosion. Unexpectedly, the police present wanted to detain Spider-Man on the spot. At this moment, the woman's cry for help came from the fire again.
I'll be here when you get back. Not coming back.
Spider-Man rushed into a burning building, unaware of the dangers inside, while attempting a rescue, when the Green Devil suddenly retaliated. Yes, he punched, knocked him flying. The Green Devil invited Spider-Man to cooperate with him again. Not surprisingly, Spider-Man still refused him, so the Green Devil threw darts. However, Spider-Man dodged this subtotal one by one, but he didn't know that the darts also had a swivel function, and slipped her arm. Seeing that the situation was not good, Spider-Man planned to quickly use Juicy to touch her and kick her away. He escaped smoothly in the explosion, but it was unexpected. On this day, he actually came to Bigger's house as a guest. It turns out that he is Big now. After a while, Big came back, but he didn't know it. At this time, the Green Devil was already at home. When he was preparing for dinner, the Green Devil saw Peter's wound. When he opened it, it was more certain that he was Spider-Man, so he made an excuse to leave quickly. That night, the Green Devil flew back to Big's home and threatened his family, scaring him to go directly to the hospital. After knowing it, Peter also rushed over. Knowing her trap, a bomb exploded in front of his eyes and was sent flying hundreds of meters away. Then he was hit continuously by the Green Devil. Spider-Man's cereal hand lost the fish strength. Then he gave him another kick, took out his steel fork and stabbed Spider-Man Peter, held him close with his whole body, and finally threw him flying. Then he trapped his feet with spider silk, and then turned over the wall first. After the output, the Green Devil had no ability to resist, and could only take off his hood. When Peter saw that it was Mr. Owl, he was unexpectedly shocked, and right there. At this time, when Green Devil scale Peter relaxed his vigilance, he controlled his slider to drive towards Spider-Man, but he didn't know that Spider-Man's sixth sense was so amazing that he was killed by himself. Before she died, Lynn asked Spider-Man not to tell Harry about it, so Peter sent her body home. But this scene was seen by Harry. At this moment, Harry began to have a love for Spider-Man. When Spider-Man was shuttling through the city, unexpectedly, the spider silk on his wrist couldn't be shot out for 1 second, and he fell to the ground from high altitude. He immediately stood up and took off his head, but he couldn't shoot the spider silk anyway, so Peter came to the corner to try his climbing ability. The spider gene in his body seemed to disappear rapidly, and then fell to the ground. You serious play for what's standing there, the planetarium tomorrow, night 8 o'clock. Peter fell into despair, then went downstairs and threw the Spider-Man suit into the trash can. Day 2. Without the identity of Spider-Man, his pen appeared particularly relaxed. Even after a fall, he showed 10 points of confidence, and he attended classes on time every day. He also learned to answer questions, and his grades began to improve by leaps and bounds. When he saw criminals being arrested, he would not intervene at will, which also made him become an ordinary citizen again. But because of the disappearance of Spider-Man, crimes in the city, the rate has increased significantly. The citizens are looking forward to Spider-Man's return. But what they didn't expect is that the cleaning team picked up Spider-Man's suit and handed it to the newspaper owner. However, she, who is usually the biggest black powder of Spider-Man, put on this suit and began to imitate her appearance. But how could she miss this opportunity, and then began to report for duty? Spider-Man was gone. But after he heard that there were children on the second floor, he rushed in without hesitation. When he wanted to knock open the door, he didn't know that his superpower had been lost, so he had to use it. The door was kicked open. Fortunately, the girl was hiding in the wardrobe and was fine. Peter immediately took her and left. On the way to evacuation, the floor collapsed, and now the situation was 10 minutes critical, so Peter jumped hard. Unexpectedly, the floor collapsed again, and Peter almost fell. Then, he put the girl up first, and then successfully climbed up with her help before the explosion. The girl was called to her parents in 1 second, but unfortunately, because the fire passed through the building and there were still people who couldn't escape, Peter felt sorry after hearing this. If he were still Spider-Man, they could have all been rescued. So Peter decided to sit back in Spider-Man again, and then he came to the roof of the building and rushed regardless of himself. Get out! But what he didn't expect was that no miracle happened, and he fell to the ground violently. The mechanical wall was firmly attached to the man's back, and then all the needles pierced into the nerves. Then the man began to manipulate them at will with his mind, as if it was alive. In order to prevent being controlled by the mechanical coin, the man specially installed a suppression chip, and then he went to a device and took out Kawahara suit sponsored by Harry. place it in the center of the device, and as the device starts small, the piercing element morphed into a ball, releasing energy like the sun. Meanwhile, the metal in the room was drawn in, and the piercing element unleashed vast energy. It was the man's latest film destroyed, causing him to faint. Kawahara-su vanished instantly, and the man was rushed to the hospital. When the doctor was about to disassemble the mechanical wall, suddenly, resurrection will. The doctor was thrown out, and the mechanical arm, appearing sentient, began a rampant attack. When the doctor resisted with the chainsaw, it provoked other mechanical walls, leading to his immediate demise. The mechanical coin removed the man's gauze, forcibly opened the hospital door, and walked out slowly. Suddenly, a taxi arrived. Come on, surprisingly. The mechanical coin instantly overturned the car and took the man to an abandoned ship, because this machine was better than. He turned himself into a monster, causing his dream to turn to ashes, so he planned to sink to the bottom of the sea with this terrible monster. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly appeared in his mind, and then the man discovered his own will. The new film vanished, and the mechanical coins began to slowly take over his body. The body urged the man to restart the experiment. Thus, Dr. Octopus went to Harry's house, forced him to pay. Harry refused to leave the Sichuan element. Then Dr. Octopus caught Harry halfway, and Harry promised him instantly. But if he had a condition to catch Spider-Man, he handed him the Sichuan element and told him that he could find Peter. Spider-Man could be found. Thinking soon, Dr. Octopus began to act. The following car was tossed into the restaurant. Peter felt endangered and lunged to the left before Dr. Octopus passed by. Come and catch brother die. Ask him to inform Spider-Man to come to him, otherwise he will skin the woman. Then throw Peter out and bury him under the rubble. Then take the woman as a hostage, and the angry Peter get up from the ruins. But at this time, her glasses became particularly nearsighted. After she took off her glasses, she felt as if her spider gene had come back. So he dropped her glasses and came to the newspaper. The boss's office suddenly acquired the battle suit. Go back and start the rescue. Woman. After several intense battles, they fought from the main building. Reached the subway. Seeing that Dr. Octopus couldn't defeat Spider-Man, he instructed you to capture 2 hostages and throw them outside. Spider-Man had to pursue them. Meanwhile, Dr. Octopus reached the cab, maxed out the soy sauce door to speed up the subway, destroyed the brake system shed, and escaped. When Spider-Man heard cries for help and went to check, he was unexpectedly captured. Flame burning. At this time, he had to take off his head. But soon, Spider-Man found, through the sixth sense, that 10 kilometers ahead was actually a cliff road. So he immediately came to the front of the car, intending to use the wood in the driveway to slow down the speed of the subway. But his feet were almost worn out, and the subway didn't have silk to slow down. Fell to the front. Fortunately, with the help of the citizens, Peter was helped into the carriage. Then everyone lifted him up and passed him into the carriage, and put him down in a flat place. When they saw Spider-Man's face clearly, he roared. Suddenly, the superhero who usually protects everyone turned out to be an ordinary young man. After Peter woke up, several children gave Peter the hood and said that they wouldn't tell others about it because Dr. Eight Paws appeared on the subway again. When he wanted to catch Spider-Man, everyone stood in front of him, trying to protect Spider-Man like this. But Dr. Eight Paws stretched out his cheating hand and pushed them all aside and then knocked them out. Spider-Man brought it to Harry and successfully exchanged it for Kawahara. Spider-Man dreamed of killing her to avenge his father, so Harry drew his long knife and wanted to see it before he did it. It depends on him, don't start with him. You were utterly shocked when he was set. Dad never imagined that the enemy who killed his father was his old friend Harry, who fell on the stool in disbelief. At this moment, Peter broke free and approached Harry. Learning that Dr. Octopus held a larger Sichuan element, he rushed to his lab and Harry was shattered. He saw his father in the mirror and he told him, "Let Spider-Man pay the price." But Harry said Peter was his best friend. "You can't do it yourself. Go to your hand." Then, my father started accusing him of being weak and swore at him. Furious, Harry threw his hand at the mirror, never realizing a larger one was hidden behind. The secretive Spider-Man came to the ship. Up to yell. But he was discovered by Dr. Eight Paws and threw Spider-Man flying. And he also shot out Spider Silk and rushed into the room and fell into the water with Kai. When he was about to be sucked in, he escaped to save the woman with Spider Silk. But the good times didn't last long. Dr. Eight Paws grabbed Spider-Man and then fell to the ground violently. When Dr. Eight Paws wanted to kill Spider-Man, she picked up the cable and blocked it. Who will end it? Then the doctor came to the fireball, destroyed the device supporting the fireball, and sank to the bottom of the sea with him. At that time, Harry looked at Fang Tian, who was full of equipment, picked up his father's enhancer, and came to the glider. Will he become the next? A big villain? In order to kill his brother, the man used potions to transform his body at all costs, and then went home. On the way, he grabbed it from the ground, threw it into the wall, and then hid it all the way into the alley. Peter also had to use Spider-Man's skills to escape in a narrow space. Seeing this, Harry quickly took out a dart and threw it at Peter. At the critical moment, she immediately turned around and made the dart plunge into Harry's body. Then she threw the flying dart bomb at Harry with Spider Silk. But in a blink of an eye, she fell into the trap set by Peter and fell severely. Seeing that the situation was not good, Peter immediately came to Harry's side and started cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but it didn't take a long time. She was immediately sent to the hospital, waiting anxiously outside for results. Not past 1. The doctor informed Peter that Harry might suffer from amnesia and advised spending more time with her. Peter went to the room and saw Harry smiling at him, making him very happy. The next day, Peter received a call from the police, informing that there was another suspect in Uncle Ben's murder, and presented a photo of the murderer. After seeing the photo, Peter meditated on the situation at that time. His uncle was brutally killed by the murderer in order to take him home, but now he can still get away with it. This Another calm thing began to become furious. At night, a cloud of black slime slowly adhered to Peter. This turn of events transformed him into a black Spider-Man, teeming with strength. While glancing at his father's photo, Harry began recalling past memories and saw his late father in the mirror, urging Halliway to seek revenge. To bait Peter, he kidnapped Peter's girlfriend. Upon discovering the situation, Peter noticed the box nearby, unaware of his descent into darkness. Peter then confronted Harry at his home, attacking her fiercely and pinning her to the corner. When Harry tried to resist, he was punched down by Bye. Then he picked up the bomb beside him and threw it at Peter, but he immediately dodged it. He threw the bomb at Harry again and instantly exploded in his face. At this time, Peter's heart was completely controlled by Venom. The man unexpectedly found himself surrounded by a mysterious circle of aperture. Then a grain of sand drilled into the man's body and frantically recombined his genes. Then the man's hand slowly turned into sand until the whole body turned into dust and disappeared in the sand. On the second day, Sally began to squirm slowly and kept changing, and the adult shape dispersed within 1 second. But he didn't give up, but continued to cohesive. As the form emerged, she covered her face in disbelief, realizing she had become a monster. She then eyed the necklace nearby and reached out to grasp it. I thought that the necklace actually passed through the palm of my hand, and then the man tried his best to conjure his fingers. When he opened the necklace, he found that it was his sick daughter inside. In order to make money to treat her daughter, the man suddenly gushed out a powerful force and tried his best to make himself stand up. As he took the first step, Charlie gradually appeared in human form, and a person gathered with love started her plan. Then the man swaggered to the street, but he was recognized by the patrolling police, and then immediately chased after him. Strangely, the man suddenly disappeared. After the police lifted the cloth, they still didn't find the fugitive. At this moment, the sand began to sink slowly. When the police were ready to check with a shovel, they were sent flying by a force, and then Sally became a giant. Seeing that the situation was not good, she immediately turned into particles, chased after the overtaking car, and then punched through the car. The top painting gravel will be transported over. Source flooding. Then he became a human form and packed the cash inside. Just then, Spider-Man rushed over, ready to stop the man from seeing Spider-Man punch her. After passing through the man's body, the man then turned his hand into grains of sand and sent Spider-Man flying. Seeing that the situation was not good, Spider-Man immediately chased after him, shooting Spider Silk continuously through the man's body, and then jumped to behind him with a horizontal ladder, breaking up the man's lower body. Unexpectedly, he quickly returned to the original scene, turned his hand into an insecticide, and threw Spider-Man into the couch. Mechanism level. Get the money carrier out of the car immediately. But he bumped into it and saw Spider-Man come out. Men are not in love. And she was just for money. Then Spider-Man came to the top of the building and took off his hood. But it's full of sandslot. This place is no exception. But when Peter returned home, in order to kill the fugitive and avenge his uncle, he urgently needed infinite strength, then opened the box, and then Spider-Man in a black suit merged into the night. Soon, Spider-Man found the place where men were haunted, but the scene was already messy, only to see the flowing sand on the ground, running into the sewer, and Spider-Man immediately opened the manhole cover together with the cement. At this moment, when the reporter was taking pictures of Spider-Man, Peter shoots. Spider Silk broke his camera, leaped into the sewer swiftly, located the man, kicked her out decisively, and then pinned her head onto the train aggressively. Rubbed until half of the face was touched, but it was strange. After the man touched the sand, he immediately returned to his original state. As Spider-Man hit it into the puddle, the man's hand gradually melted. Only then did Peter realize his weakness, so he immediately came to the water pipe and forced it to break it open. As the water sprayed out of the pipe, the man was instantly washed away, but Peter looked at him with cold eyes until the man disappeared into the water, and then Peter walked away. Out of it. But looking at his own resentment in the mirror made Peter open, commence the massacre. Unbeknownst to him, the man revived. Peter forcefully tore open the black battle suit, but the poison leaf seemed to have merged with him, which made him feel 10% painful in the process of glass. Peter's cry quickly attracted other poison leaves, and it seemed to have found the next host. He slowly separated. Peter fell in Eddie's hand, with more and more venom, until it is completely wrapped, which also makes Spider-Man usher in a strong, big right hand. Becoming Venom, she found a man controlling sand power, and proposed an alliance against Spider-Man. After agreeing to her, Eddie pretended to be a driver and grabbed Spider-Man's girlfriend, lured her to appear, and wrote a gauntlet with Spider Silk. When Peter saw the report, he immediately came to the room and took out a box from under the bed, but it was inside the Spider-Man suit she abandoned. From this moment, she realized that it was wrong to yearn for infinite power, and Spider-Man's duty was to protect the citizens. So Peter found Harry and asked her to rescue him, but Harry turned around, but his face was wounded by him.
Neglected my health. Peter's 10 points after viewing it.
He could only bear the burden of saving people alone. When Peter left, the housekeeper approached, knowing Harry and Peter's long friendship and couldn't stand their rift.
Is his father? The truth about death told Harry that when the housekeeper was cleaning the wound, he found that the blade that penetrated his father's body came from his own glider. Meanwhile, Spider-Man rushed to the scene, but when he tried to save Mary, he was. The venom behind him was secretly washed, and the venom also learned Spider-Man's technique and trapped it with Spider Silk. Just as the venom was about to kill him, Mary dropped the stone and smashed it hard on the poisonous leaf. Peter took the opportunity to break free from the bondage and poisonous eyes and wrestled together, so that he fell hard to the ground. But he never expected that Sally began to accumulate at this time and turned into a giant monster. Venom took the opportunity to strangle Spider-Man and let the monster. The object hit him hard with his fist. As the monster prepares to give Spider-Man a final blow, a bomb flew into the monster's face, instantly blasting his brain. Then Harry saved the venom,
then used the fire of the glider to burn the monster's hand to an empty stomach, and then fired 2 missiles. Make the monster collapse, while Spider-Man, sneak attack by Venom, trap his hands with Q-Seal, and then hit him in the face with the stick.
Shang is ready to kill Peter. 2 flying blades came, and then Harry rode a glider to help. In the end, the poisonous leaf dodged it, and then he shot out Deuce. Harry fell down and dropped the steel pipe together, making a crisp sound, which made the poison leaf instantly burst into uneasiness. So Peter recalled that he had hit the big clock that caused the poison to break through his body. Before he could react, the poison leaf stabbed Harry with the glider and quickly fell in front of him. At this time, 2 bags of green gold died on his glider. Peter broke free in anger. I picked up the steel pipes on the wall and inserted them into the ground, 2, 4, and 8, surrounded the poison leaves, and then hit the surrounding steel. This caused the venom to wail in agony, and seeing this, Peter immediately shot out Spider Silk, which enabled Eddie to escape into the night. Surprisingly, the venom, without a host, began to grow larger and larger. Acting quickly, Peter struck the steel pipe, then retrieved a bomb, and threw snow at the venom. Out of nowhere, Eddie pounced on him, disappearing along with the poisonous leaves.
At that crucial moment, the man decided to end the confrontation and revealed the truth to Peter. The man turned into Sally,
Flying far away.
Then Peter came to Harry.
It's a pity that she died soon after they had. We are best friends. We have experienced many things together. We have never regretted each other or hated each other, but we won't have them in the future.